Hello, this is Gerald Tuavanwas. This specific video is meant to provide you some examples that are a bit easier to understand, and I will provide you some examples of letter combinations as how the sound deform theory says that how you have to combine them, how you have to learn to combine them, and how you have to learn to understand what's going on in the positions and formations that are going on there, what the words mean and what kind of orientation that you can find in these orientations. I have two opposite words, top and pot. I also add some S to it as well, because there are not too many examples with that. So I have to the top, I'll make from that stop, from pot, and I make pots, but I can also add a different position of the S, and then I will get the word post. There's just one word that doesn't exist in English, that's pots, but that's a Dutch word then, and then the rest is also exists in English, so that makes it easy to have words that can be understood also more easily for the English native speakers. And of course I have my scheme to guide me, where you can also derive from there what should be presented with the positions of each letter, and then we will combine those positions. So there are 9 kinds of positions in space, with horizontal, vertical and diagonal, all center, volume, edge, which are in an order that you can mix them, and I can see, okay, what is my position then there. The T I have there as the first letter is the position in the vertical position in space, in just one point. The second position, there you need a little bit more theory for it, but then you still have to this video just have to accept that it's developing from circles. It is developing from a time to a time, in just one moment, in just one space, in just one point of orientation between 2 points, let's say. So, and that's provided by a form which has a circle, but which is actually also on a time frame attached as a moment which can still have a certain range, that you can have access to that moment. That's how you have to understand it. And then the P is at the end of the time frame schedules and letters that are there, the position with the positions that are there, also there, horizontal, vertical, diagonal are there. You can see them even in 2 ways, how they meet. And the P is at the end of the system, so we had all the directions already, and all the directions then at the end will lead to the next kinds of letters, which are about context, and here already the position is going towards a context in the timings, which actually in reality, in normal speaking, it says, okay, this is at the end of all processes in all directions, that you can get something out of it. The kind of form that you get there that expresses this very well is expressed there. So these are the 3 letters that we will use as a foundation in 2 kinds of orders. But of course we will start with top. So we start with the T, the O and the P, all on top of each other, that are attached to each other, so that in the end we can derive something. And it is also always more easy if we are talking about forms, just to put a 2-dimensional form into a 3-dimensional vision, and you see immediately very well what's the end result of this. This is the top, this is our orientation with T, followed by O, followed by P. So you have a position a space, and something that comes out of this space, which is our top vision, visualization, or focus, or orientation. Then we have pot. The pot is is in the different directions. So we start with P, put O on top, and then find T in there. So also there, when I put a three-dimensional frame in it, we will understand it better, we can visualize it better. We have a form that will fit to the pot, and our orientation still is correct. If I add the S to it, then how do we work with adding an S somewhere? So when we have a word like, for instance, pot, we'll have to, the S starts in a frame of context, but this frame of context starts in an environmental condition, in the environmental conditions, in the environment that you put around the object that you already have. That's a very good method. So you have here the pot. I put the environment around it, so it's the size of what is still about talking about that form, and then within that frame, I wasn't very sure if I have to add what comes to it as well or not, but okay, in the addition of the S, I start from there, and I will add in the environmental conditions, in this O that I put around it, I'll put the S in there. So, and then I will have the pots. It's like something that fits around the cylinder actually, and that fits with the expressions that pots can be. Pots can be more than one pot. That's one of the things, and you very quickly have an idea that the pots have to fit in each other. Like with the S, you have that idea as well. You pop them up into each other, and they have to fit. There's also I think it's a dialect word, pots as well, and that's used for this headgear that you can see that you'll have to put over your head actually, and it goes. It's like just in the same way as you put it over the cylinder, it can be stretched over it. Then you have the top, which I will add an S to it as well. But in this case, I will add the S at the beginning, so I have to start from S. Starting from S is actually starting from the context, and then you go to see where you can use it somewhere in the environment. The environment that I will use is, of course, the environment of top. What is the environment? Actually, it is very confined within that circle already, so I will stretch it to the maximum environment that I will create from there, from this top position that I have there. And there will the S be working on it, or working towards it. So of course, S will start from context, and it will also go towards then the form, the very strict form that we have there on top. Now, what is context actually? Yeah, most of the time, when do you have context? When you have division in three, mostly, then you can start to see context. That's how I present it here as well. We use the context most often in the letters and the letter position in three kinds of context that we focus on: space, on time, or in the making of context. Here it doesn't matter, but it is of course always on one of the three frames that we focus upon. That's how you can present it well with the letter S, and that's what we're going to do here as well, that it presents it well, that it shows itself, that from here on you have this S form that is having an influence on the frame, which contains the expression of the word top. So the S will work on the top and will make stop. while the contextual frame until where you can have the same idea, or within which frame you have the same idea of this top, and where you can have and sense this, where until where you can sense it, that there has to be a top. Now in this case a stop is framed in this illustration. There's a kind of stretched possible surface. What is the top here as well? This top, what actually wants to stop at a point, becomes then a bit like a stop button. That's a bit how you can present it. So instead of that, the top is really up until a point. Here it is stretched to the limit. That's where you have its limits. Now it's even more that comes to it, because the S is a kind of effect searching or end effect searching value, which here increases the range, not only increases the range of this top ending of this or this limiting mode that we have in the process, and starts to have a minimal presentation and results in just one letter, and the T just in one point, which is the T is just one point. It goes to just one point. It's stretched. This point is stretched to a full space in time and space, because O is in time, is also in space. It's so what do you have with the stop? You have this full range frame, which actually says here we have a kind of limited period and a limited place, and there you have to conclude it into just one point. So it's a kind of signal or effect request that requests for this ending in P. So this top, that you go to this ending at the end, or this top ending, this top. Let's go to present also a different word instead of pots that I had before with the S at the end. Here I will put the S a little bit more in the middle. So the pot was used for presenting pots with pot plus S, but here the S will go after po already, so I can't express that T there, so that that will create that cylinder kind of form. Now we stop this word a little bit early and we start with po. If I present it already in a three-dimensional frame, it will have a somewhat different form, of course, because it is this top conclusion that then goes into that circular position, and that gives you a totally different form. Funny enough, we also have a po. I noticed that po is an existing word and it means something like a chamber pot, but okay, that's now for another moment to investigate that further, but it's just funny to know. But we'll start from po and we'll add the S. What do we do? Just the same thing as we always do. Before we can add the S, we have to know until where the environmental conditions are, until where the object exists in its environmental conditions. So we add the circle around it. And in that circle and then the full frame of where it is, we can add the S form that just follows and mixes all the connections that we have to make our form there. And then we can add the T at the final position to connect all of it, and now we will have post. But here I had post a little bit more, but it's actually expressed as post with a double O. And it emphasizes also a little bit that we jump here actually from one circular environment to a new circular environment. So from one point to another point in a direction of t. The t directs it into that position where we need to land at the end. And within that frame of that is framed by t as well, I will have my position there into the new frame, into the next frame. So and that will present the word post more or less. It's just a description, it's just a direction, so maybe it can be better. I think I've done these things before at some other point. I don't remember how I did that at that time, but there will be it will be interesting to see what the reference are and what difference there are when you have a slightly different approach. It will come down to the same thing, but nevertheless, it could be interesting to compare. When I put this environment around the po at the end, and just imagine that I put the or the environmentals already bigger in the beginning, it will give a different expression. When I have this end result of the circle with that is pushed up or pushed inwards, that fits with If I have a larger frame in which I have the full context of going from the first frame to the next frame, of course I have the double which in English is mostly u. So if I would put the large frame in it, it will give more the expression and the form that fits to u, like boo, poo, or when it's even getting larger, boo indeed. So that's a bit of difference if you start to build up words and see where you get there. This first example of po will lead or will easily lead to forms that will come to your mind that fits to po, like pose or position or these kind of things, like poo. I'm not going to tell you where that fits all of it, but if I would even increase this to the sides as well, I would and enlarge and have the enlargements with. If I would add s's as well, I will not get post, but then with the expansions it will become like a boost then as well. And if I would see that as a figure that with the pose that you see there, and I will enlarge it, I will get these enlargements that will show you the boss, as a matter of speaking. So you can start to play with it and see like, okay, what does this letter do? If I have just one letter O, if the environment gets bigger and seems to have more than one environment, it's O. With an enlargement to it, it's more like oo. Just like P is an end result, but B is a result that's getting also bigger. That kind of associations you can easily associate with words that you know. That also proves now for yourself that your imagination to show you the features of letters will be triggered already more easily thanks to some examples and thanks to a little bit of support where these things come from. I hope this was also another good introduction that gives you more an idea how letters hang together, how letters show certain features also in forms. We can have different approaches that doesn't show you the form so easily, but forms shows you how they hang together geometrically, or how they hang together in content and so on. There are different approaches that I could provide as well, but this video was especially about how forms are formed from certain letter combinations. website, books, blah, 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 and so on. Thanks, bye.